Okay, listeners, we need to talk about CyberCon 2026 and more specifically, how much money you could be saving right now. Early bird registrations for the Australian Cyber Conference are open and they close on Monday, the 30th of June. And here's what that means in real terms. If you're an AISA member, a full 3-day Gold Pass is just $899 right now during the early bird special. That's a $480 saving off the full price 3-day Gold Pass for members just for registering right now. If you're not a member yet, early bird is currently $1,485, which is a $1,200 saving on the full price non-member ticket. And this isn't just any conference pass. A Gold Pass includes the full 3 days of Australia's leading cybersecurity conference, networking drinks, and the legendary CyberCon block party, all in Melbourne from the 14th to 16th of October 2026. But the date to remember right now is June 30th because after that the prices do go up. So register now at cyberconference.com.au. That's cyberconference.com.au. We'll see you there. Welcome back, everyone, to Cyber Voices, the official podcast of the Australian Information Security Association, but you probably know us as AISA. I am your host, David Savva-Willett, and it is my pleasure to bring you the diverse voices of the Australian cyber community. Today, I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm sitting here at the tail end of Canberra CyberConnect 2026, the inaugural CyberConnect here in the nation's capital. And we're going to be doing a little bit of a mid-year check-in on AISA itself. And there's no better person to do that than Mr. Michael Burchell, who is the chair of the board of directors of the Australian Information Security Association, the peak body for cybersecurity in Australia, now representing more than 14,000 members. Being halfway through the year, there's been a great deal happening. We've had CyberCon Canberra turn into CyberConnect. We've had professionalisation town halls and the CyberPath project, with plenty still to come in the second half of the year as well. So if you do value these conversations, make sure that you give Cyber Voices a subscribe on your podcast app of choice and leave us a 5-star review. It helps others find the show. So, my AISA boss, Michael, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. Thanks for having me. It's been this is my first podcast, and I am just so excited to be doing that with you and for AISA.
And you know what? It's rare to get someone who comes in here and does this for the first time. Usually people are in our circles, especially when we're here at conferences, they're all like, oh yeah, I'll do a podcast. Love a podcast.
That's right. I've done like 8 of them today already.
Yeah. Wait, hang on. No, so for context, I mean, we talk all the time, but we've been trying to sit down and talk like this for a while.
We absolutely have.
You're a busy man.
Well,
you've got a bit going on.
I've got a little bit going on, but I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's actually perfect timing, I think, to have this conversation because, CyberConnect is, we're tail end of day 2, and it's been an incredible event. And I mean, I think for me, I think about the culmination of what this association does and in bringing people together and advancing cybersecurity, and we've seen it happen in front of our eyes the last 2 days.
Yeah, we have. And it's been such a different event for Canberra, but I think a really positive one. We're here at the Hotel Realm in Canberra, in the heart of Barton, and it's been packed out there, like shoulder to shoulder at some points.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you go into rooms, there's a good energy, speakers are all, sort of in really good spirits. So yeah, I absolutely love coming to these events and seeing everyone in full flight.
Let's talk about the fact that we are at CyberConnect. It is the first CyberConnect here in Canberra. And this has come in place of CyberCon Canberra,
yep,
which had been we've been doing that in Canberra for quite some time. So it's been a change.
Absolutely.
Let's walk through that. Why the change?
Well, the only constant in life is change. And I think, for me, we had to evolve, I suppose, the product to the needs, I think, of where cyber is today. We look at the CyberCons in Canberra and they were in their own rights very successful, but it really felt like they needed to become a lot more, I think, here in Canberra in particular, a lot more focused on the local matters, and I think creating a space where industry and professionals can meet with the government that has such an important piece of the puzzle for cyber for Australia. And how do we connect the two dots and create a much more, for me, a better loop of what's coming on the regulation side, what's coming on the consultation side, what the professionals and the members want to see in terms of cyber strategy and cyber, regulation, because it's happening to us. It's happening to us all the time. We really need to make sure we're at the front of it.
Yeah, and it's pitched not squarely out, but quite particularly at, government agencies, probably a little bit of academia as well that are here in the nation's capital with the flagship CyberCon staying in Melbourne. How do we see these two events now playing different roles in the AISA calendar of events for the year?
Well, as you said, Melbourne is the flagship, and for me, that's the one where it's almost like the big cyber party of the year.
It is the cyber Christmas, as people like to call it.
I always, day one, I'm like, Christmas has come today. It's always exciting, but I think CyberConnect fills that gap between, I suppose, the Sec Days and CyberCon in being a little bit more, obviously larger scale than a Sec Day, but it's also a lot more focused. I think CyberCon is so good because there's so much breadth. You can come and you can basically immerse yourself in whatever it is you want to be doing. But for me, I think, throughout the year, running more targeted, much more intimate events means that we can keep people in the loop and people are constantly learning, and you don't have to kind of go around and decide what it is you want to see. You can actually come and learn the things you want to learn.
As a former Canberran myself, I feel like CyberCon Canberra was great, but I've been really appreciating walking around the realm and feeling that this event it's more for the local community. As you said, CyberCon is about bringing in the nation and if not a lot of overseas visitors as well. But we also get a lot of visitors from Sydney who travel down for this as well. It definitely has more of that Canberra feel to it. And I'm sure that our delegates out on the floor are getting a lot out of it. Have you had much feedback, heard a lot from the sponsors and the delegates walking around?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everyone really likes the fact that we have, the term that I think I may have coined when we're discussing it was the reimagining of the conference. And it really is, to me, a reimagining because I won't say it's new, but it's different, in the sense that we've really tried our best to curate and create a space where we're bringing the agenda to the people. You're not having to go and find it yourself. And then to answer your question, the sponsors, again, not as large scale. Again, it's a lot more, intimate for them as well. But also, the feedback I've been getting so far has been great. Like everyone's loved the sessions. They haven't had to choose between 5 or 6 or 7 different sessions to find what they want. We're going to have to keep playing around with the mix of what we do, and it's going to be a year-by-year proposition, but it's off to a great start.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I've had similar conversations with a lot of the vendors up there, some of them who I see around at many of our different events, and they've had a good time. And naturally, to keep it incredibly and explicitly Canberra, we've continued with the proud CyberCon tradition of the Australian Parliament House dinner, which happened last night, which is good fun. There's nothing quite like spending the day at the AISA Canberra event and then heading off to APH for dinner. How did you find Parliament House last night?
I love it. And I just love the prestige of that event. It's just so incredible. You never get sick of walking into the Great Hall.
No, not at all.
It's just such a great place to host an event. And again, we're very lucky. Everyone gets to do that. So, to be able to bring our members and professionals in our community into that space and share it with them it's incredible.
It's such a great value add and always gets rave reviews from everyone who attends.
Well, we packed the whole thing out. We can't fit any more people in there.
Yes, exactly. I always tell all my old friends and family in Canberra, like if they're considering coming to this event, I'm always like, but you can come for dinner at Parliament House.
Right.
It's really cool. Well, so that's CyberConnect, which it's a first go, right?
Yep.
I think there'll also be a lot of learnings from this year, and AISA is here and committed to the nation's capital. We do so much work with the government as it is, and it's just such a natural fit for us to be here. It's probably still early days to say, well, what does next year look like? Because I think we've really got to let this one simmer and just think it over, and then come back as a group and go, all right, what worked, what didn't work? How can we make this bigger and better and something that's going to continue to grow in the Canberra community?
Yeah, I think the heartening thing for me is, I don't want to underestimate that making such a big change. And I know that the CyberCon brand is obviously very strong, and we've had people honestly say, why CyberConnect?
Where's CyberCon gone?
Where's CyberCon gone? What have you done to it?
Yes.
Is that later in the year up here? So, for me, absolutely, we'll take the learnings on board. We'll take the feedback, both good and bad. So if any delegates are listening to this, please make sure you reach out to us. But, we're always looking at our events and going, how do we make them better? And my real hope is that what we've done here really opens the door to the next level of evolution as well for Sec Days, and really looking at how we continue to evolve, because ultimately we're driven by delivering the best we can to not only our members, but the broader cybersecurity community. And the only way we do that is by trying new things and, changing things up and, being, I suppose, ambitious enough to want to do that. Sometimes it's a little bit easy to just keep doing the same thing, but we really committed, all the way through the association to do more and to try things and be okay with it, maybe not being 100% correct, but it's on the right track. So I think this is knocked out of the park for first go, and we can only get better from here.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's an absolute obligation to bring the members the things that they love, but also to try new things for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes people don't know what they want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's always done with the members in mind and with their feedback.
Correct.
At the front of the conversation. Let's pivot now a little bit into talking about 2026 as a whole. So I said at the beginning that we are halfway through the year, and from your
perspective, are we halfway through the year?
I wish I knew. I don't know. Seriously, it's still 2019 in my head. So
something like that. Yes, it doesn't feel like mid 2026.
No, I know, but here we are. From your position as chair, if you had to give members a one paragraph state of AISA right now and what the year's been like to date, what would you want them to take away, and what are you proud of so far this year?
One paragraph. That's tricky.
You can make it multiple paragraphs.
That's fair enough. Look, I think it's been another exceptionally exciting year for the association, and I'll also throw it in there a bit challenging too. I mean, we've come into the year with working through professionalisation, which we know has been a polarising position for the community, and we take it upon ourselves really seriously to make sure that we try our best to find our way through that. And that took a lot of time and effort, but it feels like we got the right steer on that now and going through the process. And then I look at the association as a whole. I mean, it's as healthy as it's ever been. Membership is remaining strong. We're getting really good feedback from our branches. Can I make a quick shout out to our branches and our branch committees? I mean, they just go week in, week out, delivering for their local, branches and communities. And I can't thank them enough, because they are just constantly going, how do we serve the members and how do we deliver content and services to our members that are local to us? So massive shout out to our branches who just keep kicking goals. The Sec Days, I mean, I was up in Brisbane, and again, that event is just knocking out of the park. And we are just so lucky that we have so many motivated people around us that want to do the best for the industry and for the broader community. So I know I've taken more than my one paragraph, but
no, it's a really important point. Like, I think one of the things that astounded me the most when I joined the board in AISA at the same time as you was the sheer scope of our volunteer network and the branches in particular.
Yep.
And I've gotten to know some of the people in our branch committees, especially here on the East Coast, and the sheer amount of time that they give up into providing quality programs and value for our members in each state, whether they be in the capital cities or not, is really quite astounding. Like, we're an association that is just built on the back of incredible volunteers. Sometimes I don't even know how to put into words what an amazing feat that is.
I struggle too. Like, as in, I don't think, a bit like you, until I joined the association, I didn't have an appreciation for the most important work we do, and B, the fact that it's all volunteers. Pretty much, it's just that love of the community that everyone just galvanizes everyone. And I try to do it justice every time I stand up in front of a conference for an opening, but I don't think I've ever really grasped like the way to say it. So every chance I get, I try to get a little bit better at it. But yeah, I mean, I just think all of our volunteers, everywhere from the board all the way through to the student volunteers who come in at the CyberCon and the Sec Days, help us run we couldn't run the event without them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, every time I see them, I'm like, hey, thank you so much for taking the time and being dedicated to this, because without them, we'd cease to exist.
It almost kind of answers another question that I have written here for you, which is, we've grown past 14,000 members, and what's driving a lot of that growth. And I think it's just, you answered a lot of that right there. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that, but just that experience that's being provided at that branch level, I think the party that we get to throw for them at CyberCon at the end of the year is the least that we can do.
Absolutely. And again, I think it's that sense of community as well. I think when people join AISA, if they don't realize it at some point they will, it's such a great community. You hear about some of the relationships that people have forged. People come and share what they do on a daily basis that makes their lives better, in the hope that it makes just one other person's life better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what a great way to be. I often come to my background was infrastructure and just general technology before I came into cyber. And I'm like, you don't have an association or a group of people like in network Cisco people who, meet with alarming regularity like we do and share how they better configure their switches or whatnot. Like, it's just, to me, the sense of community is just so incredible.
Yeah, and there's an opportunity, I think, as well to shape the sector that we work in, right? You mentioned the professionalization town halls there. I know that a lot of the branches were heavily involved in running those in each of the states. And that's, people may think like it's just putting on the sec days and all that, but no, they're doing important work like that, representing the members in their jurisdictions, and also providing ongoing, the monthly meetings that they do and thought leadership. And I was almost thinking of of a question then of like, hey, for someone who was listening to this podcast who was not an AISA member, like why should they? And I feel like everything we're kind of saying is really highlighting that. Let's think about what we've still got to come there, right? So, been a big start to the year. We've already had a couple of sec days and a couple of events. You mentioned Brisbane there. You mentioned the professionalization town halls, which was a big piece of work, which has still got lots more to come.
Yeah, can I just jump in there on the?
Yeah,
I actually have some numbers or some stats that I want to share with you that have been very kindly given to me. So we, for the professionalization town halls, we ran them around the country in March. So we ran 8 face-to-face sessions and 2 virtual events over 4 weeks. And I know the ops team were completely cooked after circumnavigating the nation. We managed to reach 578 participants, 374 in person and 204 online. I think the sheer volume of taking the questions, taking the feedback, and again, trying our best to make sure we're listening to what people had to say, was a really big event. Out of that, we've basically created 19 key questions with carefully distilled responses, so that we can be very transparent and clear about what's happening. And that's on our website now under professionalization pilot page. So I would encourage anyone who is interested. I mean, we are all stakeholders in this. I would encourage everyone to understand what it means for them and how we would best be able to serve you in that space, because professionalization will be a big deal. And, in whatever shape or form it takes, we want it to be the best possible for all of our members and all professionals in Australia.
Yeah, I'll make sure to pop a link into the episode description for where people can find that, because there's probably too much feedback to cover in a 30-minute episode that is not dedicated to that topic. But I think as well, so looking ahead for the rest of the year, obviously we've got our big events still to come. So there's Sydney Sec, there is Adelaide, there's Perth, there's Darwin is still to come as well. All of that is happening, and I think we'll hear more about, especially about CyberCon coming up soon. Early bird registrations are open.
Just sure are. And if you're a sponsor listening, we're always happy to hear from you.
Yeah, Susanna would love to hear from you. But outside of the big events, there's a lot of everyday value that's being driven. So at CyberConnect, in the last few days, we've launched the learning portal for ongoing professional development. Yep. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so I think, we sat back probably about 18 months ago, I think now, and we sort of were looking at the association and going, well, how do we provide more to our membership? How do we really elevate what we're doing and delivering? So one of those was the learning portal, which has been a bit of a labour of love, but we finally got it there. And it's really going to become a really important piece of our offering puzzle, because if we can get to our members through branch events, through conference events, and then we have another conduit through the learning portal, it means that we can really provide tailored content that matters to you, to our members, to our professionals. And ultimately, our mission at the end of the day is to create a more secure Australia. That's the bottom line. And we can't do that without effectively making sure our professionals are able to deliver that day in, day out, week in, week out. So I really see that learning portal as such an important plank of how we as a nation and a professional body and a professional group effectively deliver growth opportunities. So I'm so excited. It's in pilot phase. I really would encourage everyone to check it out, and it's just going to keep growing from there.
Yeah, and it's available for all members to access right now, right?
Yep.
Another thing to include the link for, and Cyber Voices podcast is included as a part of that as well, just FYI. It's well worth a listen. I got really excited the other day, slight tangent from this, but I found out that episodes of this podcast are being included in university student curriculum as additional listening and reading.
Oh, wow.
In
how
some
cool.
cases.
That's
which
awesome.
I thought was really, really awesome to hear. I think the other thing as well, we've got the scholarship fund that had its first cohort last year. How's this program tracking? What are we looking at for this year and beyond with that?
Yeah, so we've got our second cohort in the works. And for me, we just want to keep growing that program as well. I mean, it's incredible listening to some of the stories of the young women we've put through the first cohort. And if we can have even a little impact in, what is a massive undertaking around diversity, inclusivity, and how we get more women into the workforce as well. So, those scholarships are really very important to make sure that we are creating a space, try and solve even a little part of that problem.
Yeah. And we did some stuff here at the conference as well with AWSN in that topic too.
It's great to see all of the interested associations and bodies coming together. I mean, CyberCX are part of it as well, Future Women. So anything we can do together, again, to bridge that gap, I think is just an incredible thing to be doing. And we are 100% committed to that.
I was sitting next to Jackie from AWSN at the dinner last night. She was definitely very happy with everything that's going on and all the collaboration that's happening in this space. And big shout out to them. I
Absolutely
love the work that Jackie and her team do at AWSN. So thinking ahead, I mean, I know a lot about this, but I want you to articulate this for our audience. We as a board, along with the operations team, we all got together earlier in the year, locked ourselves away in a conference room for a few days and went absolutely hell for leather on defining AISA's next strategy in terms of how the association is going to continue to grow and add value in the years to come. Give us a bit of an overview of what's happening in that space and what members can expect.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, for me and for the board, it was really important that we took a bit more of a longer term strategic view on what the association was doing. I mean, we as a board felt it was important to really articulate, I think, where we're going and where we're taking the place. So for me, it's a couple of things. One is really clearly outlining what we are, what we stand for, because, I think it's really important that we continue to, have that message and the world around us keeps changing, and we need to make sure that, as an association, we're changing with it too. I think it'd be naive to think we could just continue on down a path without really kind of looking at what's happening around us. Number two is then creating, I think, consumable understanding of what it is that our strategic undertaking looks like. So we've created the concept of strategic pillars, and those, pillars will then be everything we do moving forward will be tied back to those. And ultimately, to steal from the Australian government's cyber strategy, we've also looked at it in horizons. So effectively, taking a 5-year, this is what we think we want to look like, but also then in sort of 1 year chunks, how do we achieve that? How are we tracking against it? How can we report back to our membership and our stakeholders how we've fared against that? I think it's important we transparent and accountable as to what we do and how we're tracking against the things that we A, want to do, but also B, the things we've said we're going to do. So I think it's a really exciting time. I think it takes the association to that next level. The association has grown at such a significant rate over the last 5 years in particular, that it's been a really good opportunity to kind of sit back and go, what does growing up look like for us? And how do we make sure that the association is still here the next 25, 30 years and beyond? But more importantly, how do we keep delivering the really important things and the really good stuff that we've been doing since we started back in 99?
Yeah, and there's a lot of information to consume on that strategy, but for people listening, like when, where, how, why, and when will they be able to get more information on the strategy and be able to get involved?
So we're targeting finalising it in the next probably month and a half. And the intent is that we would probably do a soft launch before we run some sessions at CyberCon in Melbourne.
Nice.
Because as members of the association, this is your association. We're merely the caretakers. So we want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to consume it and give us feedback and ultimately be a part of that success story. Going back to talk about all the volunteers. I mean, this would not exist without our members and the volunteers and everyone else around our sphere of the association. So we need to make sure we're taking everyone on that journey with us.
Nice. Well, like I said, you're a busy man, and you've still got a few more hours of CyberConnect at the time of recording to go and enjoy. Thank you so much for taking the time. I know there's so much we could possibly unpack about everything that we do in the day-to-day at AISA and everything that's to come, but even just these little highlights, I think, has given listeners and members just a few things that maybe they can go off and explore, whether it be professionalization, whether it be the strategy, the learning portal, the work we're doing with AWSN, or maybe just to go out there and get your early bird ticket for CyberCon.
I would highly recommend you do that. We've got a very exciting program coming up as always at CyberCon, and thank you for having me. It's a privilege to join you, and it's a privilege to play a part as well at AISA. So I'm always happy to do it. Maybe we need to do a quarterly.
I think so.
Maybe start the Chair's Corner or something.
The Chair's Corner. He wants his own segment, everyone. I think I'm gonna have to end it there. Michael, thank you so much for sharing your voice with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Cyber Voices. Our music is by Sanar Garut, our show artwork is by Studio Quarantine, and we record our show at This Is a Studio in Pran, Melbourne, part of Popplant Productions. Please make sure you follow the show on your podcast platform of choice and leave us a 5-star review. This will help others find the show. Also, please follow the association on LinkedIn and Instagram. If you want to add your voice to our ever-growing chorus of diverse cyber voices, have questions, feedback, or would like to be a sponsor, you can do so by emailing us at cybervoices@aisa.org.au. That's cybervoices@aisa.org.au. Are you an AISA member? If not, you should consider joining our network of over 12,000 members across Australia. An AISA membership can open doors, build professional networks, create lifetime friendships, and offer exclusive training, events, and other perks. Become a member today by heading to our website at aisa.org.au. That is all for today. I hope you will join us again next time on Cyber Voices.